No, you're putting me at risk, my guy.
Hello and good evening. It is Monday, April 25th, 2022. And we just finished watching episode 24 of Big Brother Canada 10, the beginning of week 9, but not really. It was more like it was the recap of week 8's ending. As we see a lot of what was not included in the triple eviction episode from Thursday. We get the subsequent HOH with Betty winning, but we don't even get the nominees tonight in this episode. They're saving that for Wednesday. Okay, so I don't even know who the nominees are yet. I'm not spoilered up here, so I'm just going to take this episode as it was presented tonight. I'm Dave Mader here on Super Mader Brothers Podcasting, joined with Jaemeel Robinson. Jaemeel, how are you tonight?
I'm doing well. I'm wearing my colors, right? Repping my team, win or lose. Just showing that I'm excited about this episode of Big Brother. It shows, just like the Raptors, we have higher ambitions than some other people. Goran Dragic, who got eliminated today. Suck it. Let's go.
Yes, the Raptors, who, if I'm going to cheer for a basketball team, it's certainly the Raptors, although it's not my favorite sport. But with the NHL playoffs coming up, I am jazzed for the Calgary Flames in this case.
Let the flames burn a trail.
Let the flames burn to the sky. Here we go. We're coming down the West Coast. But I digress as we're getting into the nitty-gritty playoffs of this Big Brother Canada 10 game. And a lot of yelling in this episode, Jaemeel. A lot of people. Jacey-Lynne, she was none too impressed, especially with Helena. Again, Kevin gets away with much of this. It's so Teflon, this man. I don't understand. He gets like he's guilty by association, sort of, in the eyes of the people who have been offended or betrayed or whatever, but they tend to respect it.
Teflon. The dude is Teflon.
Yeah. And even he tells Betty, like, there's kind of a double standard between men and women in, like the woman's, he even tells Betty that. And I'm like, I agree. It's like, Helena is getting a lot of the heat here that you don't seem to. It was the same thing with the whole, when they were going to vote Gino at the first time and it didn't work and he didn't go with the vote, but Marty kind of forgave him for that. And, in the end of this episode, it's Kevin talking to Betty, someone he's had his ups and downs with. These two have not always been pals, and she was like, well, I've been suspicious of him, but I now he's making a lot of sense. And he's like, yeah, can I get who I want on the block this week? That would be great. So
this is the same person where he said, you said I was a terrible person. And she's like, yes, I know. I don't like you.
I don't like you. He's like, then I'll put you up. She's like, you're coming for me? You're just going to say you're coming for me? Wow.
Oh
wow. What a power move you're making. Yeah. So the Betty HOH, which we knew in the spoiler section at the very, very end of our recap on Thursday, Jaemeel, we knew that this was coming. But it's kind of like maybe the best case scenario, I think, because it's such like an interesting twist to these final days of this game. I feel like they could have. I guess we still have 2 weeks left. It feels like it's dragged out a little bit more than I want it to be, but for these 5, because I guess we'll have 1 eviction this week, right? And then we'll have 4 people left, and then somehow we got to get down to final 3 for the finale, right? So which will be next Wednesday.
Won't they do the 4 eviction on the Monday episode?
Yes,
going into the finale, which should be a super long episode.
And part 1, probably at least the start of the part 1 HOH.
So we should be seeing some movement come Thursday and Monday.
Right. But I think like with these final 5, and because Betty's the one ultimately to hold power here, I like, if you're just objective and you're thinking like, what's the path for Betty to win? Who does she need to eliminate this week?
For Betty?
Yes.
Okay. For Betty to make it to the end, she basically has to kind of comp out for the most part. Like she'll have to win veto next week, and then do well in the final HOH. That's her path to the end, right? Because
But if she gets out like Josh this week, for instance, like what's gonna, I guess, win favor with the jury the most, right? Because she's been sort of a non-factor for much of this game. Hasn't had the respect of the other house guests largely. But I think that, I think she's been sort of written off in sort of an unfair way. She's her game is not perfect by any means, but she was loyal to the people she was loyal to. And Josh, this whole episode was about, oh my God, I was your ride or die. And when Josh is like, well, yeah, but I can't put up Kevin or Helena, and no one understood it. So like
even Kevin and Helena didn't understand it. They're like,
they're like, we're happy about it, but we're not necessarily. We weren't I don't think they were even expecting it, right?
Yeah.
Like they were going to try, but like they Kevin's like, yeah, clearly we're working with Josh. It's kind of out here now. It would be you'd almost have to be an idiot not to really put the pieces together here. Jacey-Lynne was just furious about the whole thing, because first the Gino vote, and Jacey-Lynne's. But I want to just come back to Betty, right? Because Betty was very happy, of course, when Josh won this HOH, and then she's not too happy that Summer goes up, because she sees it as it's Josh and Betty and Summer against Marty in particular, and certainly probably Jacey-Lynne and Gino and Helena and Kevin, I guess, right? They see that being the power dynamic at that point. Summer goes up, and then there's kind of like the first conversation with Summer, which we didn't see on Thursday. That was a little in the pantry. That was a bit more cooler, but then we saw like the one in the Expedia room that was much more
when she thought about what was happening, and then she went off on him.
Yeah. And I thought on Thursday, like, I didn't see both conversations. I only had that one that they showed us live. But it was kind of, I was like, this isn't like, I think like you saw kind of how Josh reacts here. He's like, Summer's not good for Betty. Summer, I trust Summer, but Summer's not good for Betty. And like, even Jacey-Lynne's like, what the hell's going on here? I don't get this. A lot of the fans on the outside, I think, feel like Josh didn't play this well. He ruined his game. Even Kevin says this. Kevin or Helena tonight in the
they both were like, you kind of ruined. Thanks for saving, but you kind of ruined your own game there.
Yeah, like I think he took this the alliance to the detriment of himself. Like it has to still serve him, and so that's kind of his fatal mistake. I'm sure he'll figure that out in time, but we'll see. Might be after he gets out. But Josh here, he. On paper, I think I kind of understood why he was doing his nominations the way he did on Thursday. But now looking back on it, it's like, well, where does he go? Where does he go now? Like he has to, I guess, just be with those two, and he has to be open about that. He has to, I would think, right? He has to be open that he was with Kevin and Helena.
Does he? If Betty doesn't connect that the three of them are working together, do you mention that?
I guess not, but like. But Jacey-Lynne's the other one in the house too, and you have to kind of make sense. It has to make if she won power or Betty wins power, either win them. You have to sort of be able to.
But one of them is going to be out, so
yeah,
whoever is out can't win HOH. So, like, from Petty's perspective, the path of least resistance is whoever the other person that doesn't get voted out that you nominate, you must make sure that you still are in good terms with them. Because unless like you then have like what you hope that the other side who is not nominated is going to protect you, because there's going to be what 3 people competing in the next HOH, and you're not one of them. One of those 3 people need to keep you safe.
Right. 4 people, right? Or you mean next week's HOH?
Next week's, yeah, HOH, because we're now at 5. 1 is going to be gone, which means that there's going to be 4 people left, and 1 person can't compete, which is Betty. So it's 3 people competing for HOH.
But if you look at Josh's decisions here, like he's got it's kind of a 50-50 gamble here, because I don't think he intended to put Betty up. He felt like he had to put Betty up on the renom.
I don't think he had to. He could have put up Helena.
He could have put up Helena, and then who would have been voting, right? Let's think about that, because it would have been Marty on the block next to Summer and Helena, for instance. Okay,
It'd be Jace.
Jace is not going to vote to save Helena.
Yeah, you're right.
Kevin would. And what would Betty do?
Betty would.
She, I guess, yeah. So, what's Josh thinking here?
Or am I assuming that Betty's not going to vote for Summer?
Because she might, and I think that's what he was worried about, right? Is that okay? If I do put up Helena, there's a good chance Helena goes and Summer stays, and I don't think he especially after Summer blew up at him. I don't think it made sense for him to keep her safe, right? It's almost like she's a write-off at that point.
Do I understand the triple eviction rules appropriately? What happens if the 3 people who vote to keep 3 people? Does the
that's in. I guess the HOH would break it.
If
it was 3 people voting, there's 3 nominees, and 3 people are they each vote to save somebody else. Yeah, the HOH is the only way to break that. And so, yeah, like I guess then Josh could pick who he wants to save at that point.
Okay. I'm sorry. But the Philadelphia fans are leaving the arena. The game is done.
What's the score?
It's 96-82. With 2 minutes left. And we just went on a run with a slam dunk. I think they're just pissed off. The announcers are saying for some of the players to change their license plates. Okay, anyways.
Is it going back to Toronto after this?
Yeah. Game 6. You're right. Switching gears. Sorry. You're right. Thinking about it more, you can't put Kevin up because it's not. I think you know what? He had no choice but to do Betty. But the fact that he didn't forewarn Betty of this situation, right?
He gambled that like Jacey-Lynne or Marty wouldn't pull themselves down, but in either scenario, he has to put up Betty, right? In this equation.
I think it would have been better if he said that Summer isn't good for my game, and that's why I'm not keeping Summer over Kevin and Helena, right? Because I think Summer won't choose you over Jace.
Right.
Or chose me over Jace. So therefore I need to get rid of. I think that pushing it to say that Summer won't protect isn't good for Betty's self-interest is kind of like, well, why didn't you tell me that before? Why is this coming to light all of a sudden now when we're in this situation? And I thought we were a 3-person team.
Which wasn't the case. Obviously, like that for Josh, that wasn't reality, but that's what he was selling to both Summer and to Betty, more to Betty, because they were ride or die, but Betty's not really his ride or die. Right? Betty's the goat he wants to sit new at the end.
Well, Betty at the end. For Betty, Josh is a ride or die.
Right? For Betty, yes. But for Josh, like, no. I don't think so, because if it was a ride or die, he would have given more pertinent information to her. They would have been more strategically in sync here. She might have been okay with this move. And instead, it was just like it was a big knife in her back, as far as she was concerned.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right.
And we saw like her freaking out, and she goes up to the bathroom when Kevin's there. And
she ran so like she was like freaking out. Like I'm like, someone get her a paper bag. She's gonna hyperventilate.
Yeah. Well, it comes down to this whole idea of like, you don't want, like, we saw it kind of with Marty too. Like, you don't want to look like an idiot because you put your trust in the wrong people and then they fooled you. But that's kind of the game. You have to trust somebody. Yeah. And it might be real. It might not be real. I don't like, there's a better chance, I guess, if you're smooching, if you're like a Gino and a Jacey-Lynne, that's probably not going to be the case. But even then,
okay, could be. We're going to get to Jacey-Lynne in a second, but I'm just going to preview my statements about it right here. Mm-hmm. Jacey-Lynne put herself in this situation. She could have been in a perfect situation But if she did if she did actually the work that she was supposed to, she would have been in a much better spot. But the fact that she spent way too much time hanging out with Gino and smooching all that time instead of building proper relationships, like when Gino was cut, she would have been in a better position. She isn't, and that's on her. She shouldn't blame Helena. She shouldn't blame Kevin. She shouldn't blame anyone else except herself, right? She would
Yeah,
have like why wouldn't you have a better relationship with Betty? Why wouldn't you have a better relationship with anyone? You could. But the fact that you didn't and you lost, and you did lose when you lost Gino, right? You would be a perfect person to pick up instead of lashing out at Helena when you're by yourself. What kind of foolishness is this?
I agree. I was right in the middle of like the whole house, right? And so like I agree. I don't think that Jacey-Lynne's incredibly sympathetic in this episode, not really at all. Like I understand like she'd be annoyed or upset with Josh and Helena. I get that, but it was like it was too far, it was too much, in my opinion. Like what is this accomplishing? That you're just avenging Gino? Like whatever, he's fine. He just went to a jury house. Yeah, he didn't good. Are you avenging the fact that you thought Gino was going to win and you were going to be sort of like his queen and he was going to be the king and that he was going to win the game and you were just going to be like sort of like the showman's next to him? You guys went to the end, so you were just kind of riding the coattails. And so I think it's kind of it's anger, but it's also maybe a bit of fear from her. You know, she's like, I don't even know how to play this game now without Gino. Maybe I don't even want to. She almost wants to go to that jury house with him, but obviously not.
She should have taken Helena's offer of let's talk about it later. And the fact that she just kept on harping on it, it doesn't make you look good, right? Who's your audience to this argument? Everyone else is gone except Kevin, who you also don't trust.
I think her only audience is Gino. She's doing this for when Gino will see it after the fact, like, you know, in 2 weeks from now, because she wants to. I think she sees like that's what she. I think it's like maybe a long shot in her mind to win this game. I don't know if she really thinks she can or not. Does she have the cred? I think she has some merits, but it's a stretch. You have to make a really
good run.
Yeah, a good run. She would have to probably tell some lies, almost like the ones that like Kevin was giving here. Is like, I underestimated this Jacey-Lynne. I thought it was Gino was pulling the strings. Maybe it was her the whole time. I'm like, well, you're pumping her up big here. Like if Betty were to go after this week, for instance, and was to take that notion into the jury that Jacey-Lynne was the true mastermind, I guess Gino would diffuse that, or maybe he would embrace it.
He would probably embrace it just to make her look good. But whoever, like, then the power kind of shifts away from HOH, which is only basically safety, to whoever has the veto next week is the one who chooses who wins, right? Who moves on, right? So, I would.
2 people vote this week, and the HOH would break it. In this final 5 vote.
Yeah.
So I am curious to get to the spoiler section and figure out like who does Betty ultimately put up here. We're going to talk about the veto as well, and who wins that veto, and
veto Betty... ceremony was done too.
Oh, so that's all happened. Okay, yeah, and now they wait 4 days to actually do the vote. It's a long time,
honestly. You know what? I feel like they should do it earlier and just start the next week. Because we already know what next episode's going to be, and next episode is going to be nominations and probably previewing the veto, right? Game, the video competition, and then the elimination episode is going to be the veto ceremony and also who gets eliminated, and they're probably going to keep the HOH thing on feeds, right?
We'll get a few jury house segments and stuff.
Yeah, we already know what we're seeing, so let's get to the spoiler section, honestly, because I think you're going to get a lot more discussion come from that.
Yeah, just what else in the episode was worth noting? I guess we saw Betty's the HOH competition. We had Ika here tonight.
Do you like it?
I don't dislike Ika, but I don't necessarily like. I'm not a huge Ika stan.
I can
either.
Her, honestly.
I can take her or leave her. Like she's one of many Big Brother players, Big Brother Canada players, and I think she has her place in sort of like the history of all that. But I don't, and I guess because she's on ET Canada and she's kind of a celebrity as well, and sort of made a success story from the show, I guess is why they always come back to her. But yeah, I don't know. It was fine.
I was meh on the competition in general. It was another Q&A type of competition, which I'm kind of done with. I, uh, you know, I although I didn't want another physical competition, I just felt like I wish there was something. I wish there was something.
They were shredding pictures or letters or.
Well, they
whatever.
put like they were answering the questions by putting it like it was just the added fact that they were shredding it was the big pizzazz moment, but it wasn't. It was just a simple question to answer type of situation.
Yeah, it was kind of forgettable from my point mostly. And then but then Betty wins it, and then now we get to the exciting part. It's like, okay, what now, right? And so the whole segment in the kitchen where Betty, like, what is it? Like Kevin's like, have some fun with your HOH room, because they're mostly making fun of Marty and the way Marty ran his HOHs, right? Like,
Marty goes, he goes, am I allowed to talk to who could I talk to this week? And she's like, you could talk to anyone, because like Kevin told what Marty said that he couldn't talk to Josh, and then she's like, even Josh, and then she started laughing maniacally, and Josh was like, I'm not putting up with this.
Josh is like, I don't even want to be around you right now, Betty. He's like,
what happened is after that, they were like, oh, Josh. And then Kevin was like, I'll go talk to Josh. And Kevin went and comforted him. Yeah.
Well, like, I don't know. Like, I sometimes come down to like the personal aspects of the game, and sort of like having respect for game moves. And this has been something that's been part of these reality shows, right? Like, since I started watching Survivor and Big Brother, and like the earliest versions I've watched of Big Brother, where it's like this blurred line. Ultimately, there can only be one winner. Ultimately, like, you're supposed to be playing this game for yourself. And so why be so upset with Josh? But on the other hand, you thought you guys were the strong alliance, this duo. You were going to take out this other side. But then it turns out Josh is actually kind of really working with them. Maybe he's not admitting to it.
The sad thing is she still doesn't recognize that.
So what does she think Josh did? Why did she think he did it then? Like,
Josh just prioritized other people ahead of her.
In her mind.
Yes, in her mind. Which, if you think about it logically, means that they're more important than you to her. And if you were working with her, then chances are he's working with them, because why else would he put them in such high regard? But
like I just don't understand how Betty thinks sometimes, like, I guess she thinks on like, these are the people who are nice to me, and these are the people I want to see win. And when they're not nice to me anymore, then I hate them.
Yeah.
Right. Or I at least want to make them suffer, or be, let them know I'm mad at them. Which
I understand completely if you're playing like a team sport. Sometimes whoever is across from across from you is the enemy. You don't like them. You do whatever you need to do to position yourself or empower yourself to win. But it is not that type of game, right? This is a social game where there's back and forth. Sometimes someone is your worst enemy, and then other times it flips around where they could be your best ally, right? But you need to keep yourself in a neutral kind of thought process to be able to kind of, survey those waters. Kevin does a great job. Even when he is on opposition, right? He's able to position himself to be someone who, is at least respected in terms of his position, where it might be up like the opposite of the other person, right?
Right.
Jacey-Lynne, right? It's like, I understand Kevin. Kevin didn't say he was my number one. Kevin would never say that Jace is his number one, because he knows that type of relationship is not one that would work for them, right?
Right. But did Helena promise this to Jacey-Lynne, and I forgot?
It was in a conversation that we did not see.
Okay, but like, I don't know. Like, I understand like that Jacey-Lynne's got to use that in a certain way with Helena and their relationship and how that's going to move forward. But then she just went, she's seen red or whatever. She kind of goes off the rails here, and it just becomes personal and ugly and sort of like, I don't think that's going to be respected down the line. I think it's good. I imagine, she's just hoping that Gino is going to be impressed by that, but I don't even know he will be.
She won the veto, so I guess whatever she needed to do to pump herself up was great. Good for you. But you gotta win that HOH right after too, because if you think you're in that type of position and you haven't put in the work of connections, because winning the veto is fine, but whoever wins like HOH, Betty, like what if it was Betty, right? Is she in a good position with Betty? No. Helena, you just told off.
Yeah.
Right. And then Kevin's there. Right.
Yeah, who you and Josh, who you're not tight with anyway.
Josh couldn't win. Wait.
Right, but so what's her strategy? Yeah, from the final five, and then I'm also thinking about them from Betty's perspective. Now that she's HOH, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think she sees the opportunity that's in front of her, right? Because she has a real opportunity, I think, to win the respect, to do something with this week, to come alive here in the final 2 weeks of this game and show, because she just came off that veto win too, right? In week 8, that she has a real chance here to sort of win the respect of the jury. And what she does next is going to be huge. So I think like she's got to be thinking, I got to put up Josh, right? Because if I don't, then how would I ever get respect? But I don't think she's thinking like that at all. I think she's thinking like, so-and-so was mean to me. She's all about energies and who's done right by her and who's done wrong by her or whatever. And I think that ultimately, even if she's at the final 2, if she doesn't play this right, which I don't think she will, I think that it will. She won't have the respect of the jury ultimately in the end. It's good. It's hard to imagine. I think that there is a path for her to win, but she's got to become a little bit more of a player. She's got to show that she's doing certain things. There's certain things the jury are going to get to see. They're going to get to see when she does the nominations. They're going to get to see what happens at the POV ceremony and ultimately the eviction itself. Outside of that, they only get hearsay from what each juror is going to tell them coming in from here
and
on.
I don't think that if you get her in a final 2 situation, she's going to be able to explain herself eloquently, sum up her game in something that people respect. I don't think Josh could do that honestly either.
So even if she was like in the diary room, like I'm feeling betrayed by Josh, but like don't let him know it like to this extent. Like, it's just
don't be petty like that, because if Josh goes out the door, what is his thought process? Right? It's like, I did what I had to do, right? All that shows is if Josh reveals that he appreciates Kevin and Helena more, the people in the jury are going to go, you 3 were working together? Man, you did a great job keeping on the wraps. And Kevin and Helena must be playing a really great game if they're like so under the radar yet, working different angles of, different people at the same time, because he was working with Marty. Marty's like, oh man, I didn't realize that it went to that extent. The same thing with Gino and like Herman. Like, Betty, what are you doing? If you at least like everything worked out, so have a recency bias. Go, I'm mad at you, Josh, but at the same time, we're working together as a pair. Let's continue that relationship. I won, right? Let's move forward, because if she puts up Kevin or Helena with Jace, that puts pressure on the other side of the relationship, right? And then Josh has no reason but to say, hey, look, Betty, thank you for not putting me up, even though what happened to you, I appreciate it. Josh is that emotional of a player, right? Work on confirming what's happening with him, right?
Right.
If Jace is kept, Jace would be appreciated to you that you did not get her voted out, right? She's alone, right? Let her be your person in your corner. She'd be more loyal to you because she's without anyone.
Yes. Right? But I don't think she's going to do any of those things. Okay. So, and then like just Betty took Kevin to Wendy's kind of to end this episode. He's like, yes, I'll take all of this. I'll take the strawberry lemonade, and I'll take exactly who I want on the block. And you gotta be impressed with Kevin this season. Like he's been really entertaining, really fun. And I'm certainly hoping he wins. But I think that no matter what, I think it's going to be an interesting outcome. Whoever wins this game, like there's no one like here I'm dreading. Like, oh, I don't want to see like a dud here win.
I think whoever gets to the end, I think we're gonna appreciate the winner. Like, I honestly think Big Brother 10 is gonna be referred to as one of the best seasons of Big Brother in North American Big Brother of all time. It's been crazy, right? It's you could even just watch the television show, no spoilers, no like live feeds, and have an entertaining narrative through the entire series. The Kevin narrative is great to watch that we were able to see, and I think people will keep him in high regard. I want to see Kevin back I want to see him get the Ica treatment. Okay.
Yeah. That'd be nice. I don't know. I would like that too. I don't like. It'd be interesting to see how they handle him moving. He has to win. I think if he wins, I think he'll be.
I don't think he needs to win. I think he's winning America's favorite player. He has to win. I think.
Well, I guess Summer's the only other, but Summer won't win it now.
Summer won't win. Summer has a really strong fan base. Delusional,
but she has them.
She has a fan base.
She has numbers. She has that what was the one that saved her? Was it? No, it wasn't Sunwing. It was
the
Bel Air Direct. Yeah, at least they like her. Whoever votes in that thing. Was there some kind of other vote that was announced tonight? Like you could vote for like the Big Brother Canada Awards.
Whatever. I never care about those things. It's inconsequential.
Is it on the website? What is it like?
Let me check it.
Big Brother Canada. I was trying to follow what Arissa was saying here at the end. I was like,
sometimes she says stuff, and I'm just like my eyes just roll over.
Oh my god! You got to see this shot from the jury house. This is too. Hold on. It's like they're holding up a gummy bear together.
Lord.
Let's bring it in here.
You know what? One thing that isn't mentioned is Marty's attitude, where he basically gave up the game. And we
didn't bring up that, but like he was just like, nope, I didn't know what was happening, and he was just kind of have a look here, like these two posing together in the jury house.
I think that I liked that he realized that they outplayed him, and he kind of just he licked his wounds and went off, right? And I kind of respect that, right?
I did too. I thought like compared to Jacey-Lynne in contrast, who was just like she
you get bested. It happens.
It was excessive, It was almost like Amanda Zuckerman level of like just like going at somebody, right? The Big Brother Canada, the BBCAN Awards. Okay, here it goes. Pick your favorite BBCAN moments. It's the time to stroll down the red carpet for the 10th annual BBCAN Awards. Cast your vote for what you think are the best moments of the season. And what better way to celebrate 10 seasons of Big Brother Canada by voting on some classic throwback awards as well. So it's not just going to be about. So, for instance, like question 1 of 15 here. I'll just show it to you. Best speech: Mitch versus the trio in season 4, or Godfrey versus Zach in season 3.
To me, it's an easy one.
Easy Godfrey, right?
Yeah,
right. Coming in hot, we got Jesse is so woke in season 6. I don't even remember that.
Oof.
Or Maddie versus Chris season 8. Season 8 doesn't have any great moments.
Yes, Chris was amazing. The Mentalist Chris. Oh man,
I did enjoy him, but that season, that was the COVID shutdown, right?
Yes.
But yes,
I'll give it to Maddie versus Chris
by default. We got Veronica's hot tub twerk machine in season 6 versus Spicy V Let's Loose season 9. What's that mean?
Come on. You know who I'm picking.
Okay, that's a Victoria vote for sure.
Okay.
Chris's surprise visitor, season 8. Is that what it was like? His mom? I think it was like his mom or something like that. Yeah. Oh, and he didn't know it was his mom. That's what it was.
Yes.
Great to meet you, he says.
He's like, oh. Oh my gosh, dude. He's like, oh yeah.
It's about Dane versus the archive room in
where he
season
just
7.
totally rips it apart.
Well, it's got to be the one he didn't even know was his own mother. For
I picked Dane. I love that Dane sequence.
I gotta go. It was good too, but Kevin Pilar and Kevin, didn't they get married in season 3? And then Sam and Adam, season 7. Yeah, Pilar and Kevin. So many questions. I can't do them all here, but like, there's a lot of moments to vote on.
Best Real Talk Cassandra season 4 or Karen season 5.
I always vote Karen.
Yep, I've same thing.
Messiest beef, Bruno versus Sarah,
which is a great one, and Spicy Beef versus Tara. Where
they're both good. Oh, this is. I'll go with the Bruno versus Sarah. It's tight. That's close though.
I told you, Spicy V always gets a vote. Ika's Final 4 exit or the Marine departs.
Not the Marine departs.
Really?
Season 7. Yeah.
No, vote for who you feel.
Okay, I'll give it to the Marine. Dimitri's comp flop in season 5 versus Topaz's fumbled vote. It always goes Topaz, you know.
No, don't do this to me.
No, don't do. You did it to yourself, Topaz. Best ceremony sharker, chain of safety. The secret veto, not the secret veto. I would say it's a chain of safety. The best slop meltdown, Jacey-Lynne and Josh's slop struggles versus what did we do now?
What do we do now? What do we do now?
Let's see. This is Marty coming down the stairs. There's nothing in the fridge, he says.
Oh, when they went on slop.
And everything's chained up.
Yeah.
No food.
I think in both it's both of them complaining.
It's just complaining moments, and then the other one is
just when they start crying and over the fact that they had to eat slop.
Neither of these are great. Okay, but if I have to pick one, it will be that one. Jacey-Lynne beats the clock in winners winning moments. Or Betty's POV triumph. It was too good.
Yeah.
Spicy V, Legends of the Door. Okay, so or they have nots become it's this one, Spicy V.
Yeah, always Spicy
easy.
V.
Best blowout vote, Stephanie or there's not a vote. Stephanie versus Moose. I don't even remember them having. Was that? Yeah, that feels like a long time ago now. But Stephanie versus Moose, and then Betty versus Moose. Moose.
Stephanie was such a non-factor in this season.
Yeah, so like very forgettable. You know, I think in the grand scheme of things. Okay, final question. Most jaw-dropping moment. The Moose jaw-dropping moment. Kevin's self-eviction fake out or Stephanie's eviction blindside.
It was the first blindside of the season.
It was the first one. I would go that one. Yeah. Okay. So I loved Josh crying his eyes out over Kevin leaving. But this it was a good blindside. Okay, yes, I'm not a robot. Yes. Here you go.
Yeah.
All right, we voted. Or at least my votes are in. So
I voted too.
Yeah. So we're part of this process. We get to see how these Big Brother Canada votes will come out next. So, and with that, I think we can move on to the spoiler section of this show and get into it. So if you're leaving us now, join us Wednesday where we'll see who Betty puts on the block in the show's version. We'll see how the POV shakes out, who the final nominees are heading into the Thursday eviction. Also here on Super Mario Brothers Podcast, on Wednesday, we'll be covering the next episode of Survivor, season 42. I think we're going to episode 8. It's called Game of Chicken. And we're going to see how that all plays out.
That sounds like rocks.
It could be rocks, or maybe they just find a chicken and they eat it.
Maybe.
Who's to say? And they make a game of it. And then check out our other stuff here. I'll plug all the other shows at the end. But with that, let's get into the spoilers. Yes. All right.
Okay.
Jaemeel.
Who do you think she put up?
I think she put up Josh and Jacey-Lynne.
You are correct.
Okay.
You are correct.
But
But
it's obviously what she should not do.
technically yes. Technically yes. Jace does not understand it because she's like, why isn't Kevin or Helena on the block?
She's been asking herself that for like a while.
Right? It's like, why is it?
Because they're better players than you. They're better players than you, Jacey-Lynne. That's the short answer.
So Jacey-Lynne still does not know, neither does Betty, that the three of them are working together. It does not.
Okay.
So what's probably going to show up in the next episode is a conversation about what happened the week that Marty was HOH. Okay. Sorry, when Gino was HOH. So when Gino was HOH, they told everyone that they were going to blindside Marty. Use the veto because they're going to blindside Marty. And then eventually, Helena won it and did not use the veto. And then Jacey-Lynne won the power veto, secret power veto, and didn't use it as well.
Right.
So people assume that Marty had the HOH, had the secret power veto. Now, when everyone kind of knew that Marty didn't have it, right? Especially those who were like, I thought you were getting rid of Marty, right? Why didn't you? The information leaked that Jacey-Lynne had it, but it was to select people. So Jacey-Lynne and Gino decided to say that they were actually going to save Gino, right? This is what they told save Marty, and this is how they were going to plan to convince Marty not to put them up, right? They weren't going to put up Marty. They were actually going to put up Josh. That was the trick that they did to ensure that Marty was safe. Okay? Because Marty was HOH.
Yes,
right?
I remember that. Yes.
So
yes.
that was their lie to save face with the
when this information came out, basically
kind of leaked out, right? And how they could tell Marty is like, look, dude, don't put us up. We actually saved you because we were gonna. If anyone tells you, we were actually gonna trick them and we were gonna put up Josh. So Marty eventually told that information to other people, Helena, right, and Kevin, who were like, this is great news for us because they told Betty saying, hey, you know, when we were supposed to get Marty out, Jace was lying, saying that they were going to get Josh out. Josh, your ride or die. She was going to betray you, right? Now, don't trust what Jace says, because if Jace doesn't bring up the secret power veto, you know she's lying. Betty believes them, right? Betty believes. Right. So when Jace campaigns to Betty about this, she does not bring it up. She doesn't. So Betty's automatically skeptical about anything that Jace says. So that's kind of like a barrier preventing Jace from being successful in communicating to Betty, right?
So it's kind of reminds me of when like Kevin convinced Marty to put what Gino, that Gino wasn't with him. He's like, if Gino does tell you to do this, then it works. But if he doesn't, then he's also against you. Like, you know, it's just kind of like, it's good manipulation because then you get that player to sort of go do this plan that's basically designed to do how they want it to play out. They know enough of this, of these people and what they know and how to get them to react in predictable ways.
So at the same time, Kevin, Josh, and Helena are communicating with each other to make sure their stories all match up, right? So it is 3 against 2. But let me clarify. Sorry, it's not 3 against 2. It's more 3 against 1 versus 1, because Jace and Betty cannot get on the same page. Now, Jace has tried campaigning to Betty with an all-girls alliance with Helena.
Okay.
Say, right?
Betty's tried that, or Jacey-Lynne's tried that?
Jace,
Okay,
right?
interesting.
Which technically is in Betty and in Jace's best interest,
Sure, they have the numbers.
right? But once again, without that trust, how far is it going to go? So
Why do Jacey-Lynne and Betty have such a non-relationship? Is it just because she was always with Gino?
She never worked on it.
Right.
Jacey-Lynne's
never tried to, but it seems like probably neither of them have ever really tried that hard, but at it.
Betty was on the other side of the house for the most part.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I don't remember her ever having much to do with the showman's Betty. So yeah, here we are. Right. So
okay. We have our let's get to the veto. Okay.
So everyone competed except the HOH? Or does
I think everyone competed.
Because at some point the HOH does get to compete, right?
Yeah. I think from this point
maybe this is the point where it's now.
So who do you think won the veto?
Josh?
Nope.
Jacey-Lynne?
No.
Betty?
Nope.
Helena?
Oh yes.
Okay, Helena. Okay, Kevin was the only one left. So
I know you had a 50% chance there.
Yeah, I was like, am I gonna go through them all? Okay, Helena.
So there's options here. If Helena takes off either Josh or Jacey-Lynne, Kevin has to go up.
Yes.
Right? And she can kind of, position herself, to do the All Girls Alliance if necessary. Right?
But if Helena doesn't use it, then Helena and Kevin are the two votes.
Correct.
So I think if I was Helena, I would rather keep that because I think she's just more likely to trust Kevin and her to vote a certain way together. Which I think Josh is a little less reliable.
As of late, sure. But, technically Josh kind of proved his loyalty that.
He did. I just think she's been working with Kevin longer. I don't know. Maybe it's just.
What you think makes sense?
I think either way, they control the votes. She'll be one of the votes, and she gets to decide who the other one voting with her is.
But I think if Kevin is gone, I think that Jace would take Helena, right? I think that Betty would probably take either Jace or Helena.
You mean in the final two?
Yeah, final two.
Why would Jace take Helena after? Well, just because she was the betrayer. She
also she could be considered weaker than the other ones. She's never won an HOH. She's kind of in Kevin's shadow. She's more of a betrayer for the most part, right? Mm-hmm. From Jacey-Lynne's perspective, does she think that the jury respects her? I don't think so. So it would make more sense to kind of take either Betty or Jace because Josh has, warranted or not, been considered more of a threat overall.
Yeah, and I think ultimately people like Josh. He's as a likable person. He's likable. I think deep down he's a good guy, and you see he's cried way too much. So it's but I think he's endeared himself to a lot of the house guests and these jurors at different points in the game. I think Herman and Moose would vote for him, and so he's got. I think he's the bigger threat. But is this? I don't think this is the stage where you take him out because then you're kind of
I think there's a little bit of the bloom is off the rose a little bit, especially during that triple. I don't think he's going to get as much credit as you hoped he would for getting rid of Marty.
No, because he, especially with how sour Summer would be going into that jury house of Josh, she was like, I will make sure no one votes for Josh, or at least I think she said she will certainly not vote for Josh.
They would expose kind of how wishy-washy was overall in that. Now, the next part of it is Betty. Betty would either take, at this point, because of her anger towards Josh, would take either Helena or Jace to the end. Right?
Who? Betty?
Yeah.
Betty will take whoever she feels like is her better friend. Betty's not going to play strategically. Maybe, I think it's probably Kevin.
But if you eliminate Kevin, then it's most likely going to be Helena and Jacey-Lynne as the two options, and maybe Helena more than Jacey-Lynne. So
I just think she'll never go with Jacey-Lynne. Betty doesn't think like that, right?
So okay, so at this point, you're saying that Betty would probably take Helena
over Jacey-Lynne. Yes,
Yeah. So
she shouldn't, but I think she would.
From Helena's point of view, then, in terms of options, with us being ability to kind of see all the moving pieces, it would be in Helena's best interest to get rid of Kevin.
Oh well, yeah, certainly, yeah,
yes,
of course.
Okay.
But
I'm just trying to set the stage for the possibilities of why something happened or possibly why things didn't happen.
Well, I think if Helena were to do this to Kevin now and keep Jacey-Lynne in the game, like it's a real gamble, right? But it could pay off big for Helena in earning props, right? Because one, she's stabbing her biggest ally in Kevin in the back.
Mm-hmm.
B, she's keeping a kind of an enemy in Jacey-Lynne hanging around, so she's kind of counting on the fact that she's gonna be able to beat her in the next stage or somehow is going to be able to do it. It depends on whether Jacey-Lynne would recognize that the jury would respond to that or not. It depends on how much you think you can work with Jacey-Lynne or manipulate Jacey-Lynne to do or see things in the way that benefits you. Okay. I don't know. So I think taking out Josh is a viable option too, though.
Yeah. I will agree.
Or just get rid of Jacey-Lynne because she hates your guts and you don't want to live with her anymore too at this point. And I think that you could go a lot of different ways with this. I don't know if there's a right answer. I know what I want to happen as a fan.
What do you want to happen?
I want her to keep the noms the same and then to vote out Jacey-Lynne.
Okay, so now it's time for me to reveal what happened. What do you think happened?
What I said. Nothing happened. Like she didn't use
Nothing happened.
Yeah. It's almost like, but is that because Kevin worked like the campaign hard, or he's in good with Helena? I'm curious to see, like, why does that come to fruition? What is Helena thinking in the diary room? How much is Kevin pulling the strings? How much can we give him credit for his game? Because I think like we're gonna look, especially if Kevin wins, I think we're gonna look back at this game and go, this was freaking masterful what he did here. He got people to go against their best interests at key times, and then never like Marty and Josh now and now Betty and Helena. Like it's going to like he might win unanimously regardless. I think like him against, if he's sitting next to Helena or Josh at the end, he might have a bit more of an uphill battle, but I think it would still be favored to him, depending on whether he's able to sell it, which I think he would be. I think he'd be able to articulate that in a jury speech.
Because the people that he would have to convince is, like, let's say Helena got eliminated, it's him and Josh. He would have to convince not Helena, because Helena would understand what he was doing. Yes. Right? So not her. Herman.
Moose,
Gino. But I think Gino would vote for him because Gino appreciated a lot of the things that he was doing on the side, like his other characters and such. Marty appreciates
Marty Kevin for sure. Marty would vote for Kevin out of respect. Yeah.
Summer still likes Kevin a lot.
Okay. A lot. So yeah, I think that they'll be mad at Helena potentially, that when they see this, they'll go, "Why aren't you going after Kevin? He's the biggest threat in the game. What are you doing? He's going to win, right?" And that's only going to make them want to vote for him even more at the end, Mm-hmm. So it's
unless she wins out.
Unless she wins out, but even then, they're going to say you could have taken out Kevin here, or you could have made a big move here with that veto win, Helena, and you didn't, right? So it's,
I'm going to be interested to see how things go, because that Final Four veto is just so vital.
Betty can't win. Betty can't be the HOH, but she could win the veto, so she could still save herself, right?
She could still control
the vote. She could be the sole vote or whatever, but she won't be the one to win the first part of the HOH itself and win that part of the safety.
I think that if I was Kevin, that veto is one I want to win. I want to win that veto.
Do you think that Josh recognizes the threat that Kevin presents to him? Like, do you think that Josh would be afraid to be next to Kevin in the end?
Josh was willing to give up his game
For
for Kevin when Kevin was going out because he was bawling. Like, dude, like keep it on the down low. I don't know why people didn't think they were working together from then.
Yeah, that should have been like the biggest, like, obvious, right? Like the fact that he was like, he's bawling his eyes out, and the rest of them are just kind of like, what the hell is happening? Right? They're all like just looking up in bewilderment. Oh, I thought Betty was actually almost happy about it. She's like, am I actually gonna see this? Like, this is screwed up.
I think Betty was in Sandra Diaz moment. It's like, as long as it's not me.
Yeah, I think she's like, I'm a little closer to the 100,000. If this happens, if this actually happens, why not? Right? So. Yeah, like I think that like getting Jacey-Lynne out this week is giving me the best end game result that I would like to see, because I think Jacey-Lynne is the most undeserving of these 5 to be a winner. So I'd rather see
in terms of 50 days of gameplay. I agree.
Yeah, like I'd rather see Betty win than Jacey-Lynne.
Yeah.
So, and I don't think Betty is a particularly strong player, but she's entertaining.
Yes.
So like, and Jacey-Lynne hasn't been that entertaining.
Thank you very much is what I want.
I think what we're going to remember about Jacey-Lynne is this blow ups that we saw here tonight. I think that's like, and that she was with Gino, but she was like this quiet, passive player for most of the game, and then she was pissed off when her boyfriend got voted out, and then she got voted out the next week. That's probably what we'll remember.
Yeah.
With Betty, there's a lot to remember with Betty.
Oh, yeah.
Like she's had some moments. She wears her heart on her sleeve. She's very much like memorable.
I think people will remember Betty a lot more than Summer.
Yeah, like I think I will. I think all I'm going to remember about Summer is she tries to grab things in the air when she talks, and I'm like, what is it that you're getting?
My girl, my guy.
Girl. My guy. Yeah, you're putting me at risk, my guy.
No, you're putting me at risk, my guy.
Betty is the new Gen City.
Betty's like in a league of her own.
You
I don't know
her name, but you're like, what did Gen City do? It's like, she was there. That's her impact.
Yeah, like I think just like we just remember some of the great Betty quotes.
Such a shocker. What a power move. Woo! Take that, Marty! Wow. Isn't that savage? Business B is who I am in the office setting. When I'm ready to party, B money comes out.
That's right. Yeah.
Obviously, I don't want to talk to Marty.
Marty. Also, I should have did this in a regular broadcast. I was not feeling that winners ensemble at all. I thought that was extremely unflattering.
I thought that the skirt wasn't great, and the shoes I didn't like either. Yeah, I thought that it was kind of whatever. Yeah,
winners,
but they always try to sell it. Yeah, I haven't really thought that most of these winners' wardrobes have been that spectacular.
So much shit on the winners.
All the winners, yeah. Well, my wife no longer works for that company. She had a part-time job at HomeSense, which is also Winners and Marshalls, and but she's out.
Moving up.
She's moving out. She doesn't have to. She has to. I can trash them now. Good. So they're losers. I go down to losers and get yourself.
I also hate the Winners commercials. Not every commercial needs to be a movie trailer. Okay. No. Winners. No.
Okay, well, I think we're gonna sign off. Is there anything else we should know?
No, I'm waiting for this to just unfold. I want to see the diary sessions because I think we're gonna get a lot of details from that. And yeah.
No, okay, yeah, because like knowing what's coming is not the same as seeing it, and there's always different things that are probably left out, especially from the ceremonies themselves. So yeah, I'm excited to get to Wednesday. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, we'll be doing we'll do the Survivor podcast first thing Wednesday, and then we go on to the Big Brother, even though Big Brother airs before Survivor, but they're back to back. So Survivor's a really great show if you haven't seen it yet, and the season's really turning out to be something different. For me, I'm enjoying it more than 41. So check that out Wednesday and then Thursday. Wait, would you have a thought on that?
I'll think about it. I'll give my reply on Wednesday. I have to think about that if I like it more than 41.
Well, it's ultimately going to depend on how it all plays out from here on in. But so far, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
So
I didn't like the ending narrative of 41. That was my issue.
The Canadian winner?
No. The fact that we didn't really see the work done to secure the win is my issue. The edit wasn't good.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was Erica's win ultimately there was sort of like, okay, you smashed the hourglass and then you won, I guess. But that's kind of a simplification, but
I'll think about it more. But okay, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Anyway, so and I still have both my draftees in this Survivor draft, so that's also helping. Even though I can definitely not win this Big Brother Canada one at this point. Okay, well, thanks for being with us tonight. Thank you, Jaemeel. I'm glad the Raptors won as well. So wins all around. Quite the result, in this episode and in what's coming up. To and then you should also check out Live Long and Podcast, our Star Trek themed channel. Every Monday night we're covering a new episode, we're covering the next episode of Star Trek Enterprise with Jody Simpson and Kevin Millard and Adam Woodward doing a rewatch review series over there. And on Thursday we're checking out the newest episode, Star Trek Picard, this Thursday.
I just started the season.
I
just started season, episode 1 of season 2. I just started. I'm rolling along.
Yeah, you can catch up. So there's 10 episodes this season. We're on to the 9th one, and and so we're almost at the end. We'll catch up once you've seen it all. I won't tell you anything, but and then Strange New Worlds is coming up after that in just 2 weeks. With Star Trek Strange New Worlds on Thursdays, we'll be covering that over in Live Long and Podcast. Plus, we have another channel called Trivial Debates. It's a monthly show. We argue about movies, TV, sports. There's a host. There's 3 contestants, and somebody wins. And 2 people lose. Coming up this Sunday, we got Eamon Mader hosting. We got Chris Seymour competing along with Matt George and Tim Seymour. Eamon Mader, under his alias Sam Jerka, host of Let's Talk About Fighting Games. They talk about Mega Man. They talk about King of Fighters. They talk about Baiku. Check it out over there. And he's coming in to host with 3 of the these 3. I will have to hold them to their time limits. I will each round there will be a you must stop. So
creme de la creme.
Creme de la creme. We got the brother versus Matt George with Eamon playing referee. So check that out this Sunday, May 1st, 2022, 10 a.m. Eastern live, where you can listen to it, of course, after the fact. What else? I think that's about it. Oh, the Hellbound podcast every Wednesday with Michael Chan and Alex Blackburn. If you like horror, check out that podcast. They do all kinds of fun things. They review past horror films and they create their own skits and different things. And then my cousin and yours, Davin Skellhorn, he's got Locutors of Trek. They do trivia over there. They do all kinds of Star Trek stuff. I was on there last night doing Star Trek trivia. No, computer, cancel. No, I think I wanted music. Thank you. Lost my train of thought there. X-Men, the animated series, X-rated with Davin Skellhorn and Andre every Tuesday. They go through X-Men, the animated series. They rewatch one. They rate it. That's pretty much it. But it's great, and you should check that out. This one's for you, Morph. And on that, let's go out here. Maybe on some quote here on Big Brother Canada. Okay, it's late. I'm tired, and we're going to call it a night. All right.
I love the winter, and the winter loves me. I'm a winter baby in the winter baby in the winter. Who says it's spring when we can have snow? Who says it's spring? No. I'm a winter baby in the winter.
And remember, someone is